You must have heard many times that technology is advancing rapidly, but you may have never thought that this technology could make future humans even more advanced and upgrade them. However, if it goes out of control, humans will be its first victims. So, how will humans protect themselves from this new threat? Without further delay, let's start the movie. At the beginning of the movie, we are introduced to a man named Gray. Gray is a car mechanic. He had just returned after fixing a customer's car when his wife also arrived home from work. Gray's wife works for a very big company. That day, Gray was going to deliver the car to his client and asked his wife to accompany him. She didn't refuse and went along with Gray in their automatic car. Gray takes her to his client Aaron's house, which was highly advanced. Aaron is a brilliant scientist who constantly conducts experiments to make the world a better place. That day, he showed Gray a chip and told him that it was going to be the greatest discovery in human history because it could do anything. However, Gray wasn't very happy with this experiment, as he believed humans could do many things better than machines. After that, Gray and his wife got into their car to return home. Since their car was automatic, they didn't pay much attention to it. But suddenly, the car changed its direction on its own. Gray tried hard to stop it, but the car was completely out of control. A little further ahead, the car overturned, but they didn't get seriously injured. Moments later, some masked men arrived and pulled both of them out of the car. They shot and killed Gray's wife and only broke Gray's spinal cord before leaving. Due to his broken spine, Gray was completely unable to move, and he watched helplessly as his wife took her last breath in front of him. Next, we see Gray in a hospital, now fully paralyzed. The scene then jumps 3 months ahead. Gray can only do small tasks with the help of a wheelchair, and his mother takes care of him. One day, while she was cutting his hair, Gray cried a lot because his once happy life was shattered in an instant. The next day, Gray and his mother visit Detective Cortez. Gray asks if they have found the culprits, but the detective tells him that they haven't found anything yet, though they are trying their best. Hearing this, Gray becomes even angrier because he had been visiting the police station repeatedly, yet they still had no leads. That night, Gray was taking his medicine through a machine. He kept asking the machine to inject another dose so he could end his suffering, but the machine stopped midway. If it had given him another dose, he would have died due to an overdose. As a result, Gray passed out. When he regained consciousness, he found himself in a hospital. A little while later, Aaron arrived and told Gray that he felt terrible seeing him in this condition. However, he had a solution that could help Gray walk again. Aaron tells Gray, "The chip I showed you that day can give you a new life." Gray agrees because in a way, he was already dead while being alive. The operation takes place at Aaron's house, away from the outside world. After a few hours of surgery, the chip is successfully implanted into Gray. Shortly after the operation, Gray's limbs start functioning normally again. With the help of the chip, he begins to walk. Seeing himself walking again makes Gray extremely happy. Aaron makes Gray sign an agreement stating that he will not reveal anything about this experiment to anyone. Gray signs the agreement. Aaron explains that Gray's brain will give orders to the chip, and the chip will execute them. Upon returning home, Gray finds that the detective has sent some files to his house, including a video of the incident that happened to him that day. Suddenly, he hears a voice. When he turns around, there is no one there. Then, he realizes that the voice is coming from inside him. The chip is talking to him, and only Gray can hear it. While watching the video again, the chip highlights that one of the men had a tattoo on his hand. Gray couldn't notice it properly, but the chip scanned it and reproduced the tattoo on a piece of paper. Upon seeing it, Gray realizes that it is a military tattoo. The chip further scans the tattoo and provides information about a location. Gray becomes overjoyed because he now has a lead to track down his wife's killers. Without wasting time, he goes straight to the location provided by the chip. Upon entering the house, he finds no one there, so he starts searching for evidence. He comes across some messages from the owner of a nearby bar. As he is going through the messages, a man enters the house. Gray quickly hides and then attacks the man from behind. Initially, the man overpowers Gray, but as soon as Gray gives the chip permission to fight, he becomes extremely strong. Gray effortlessly dodges all the man's attacks. However, the chip fights brutally and kills the man in a gruesome manner. Gray didn't want to kill him, but the chip took control and did it anyway. Afterward, the chip instructs Gray to clean up all traces of his presence so that no evidence is left behind for the police. Gray follows the instructions exactly. Next, we see Gray at Aaron's house. Aaron is furious at him for misusing the chip. He warns Gray, saying, "I can track you through this chip, so no matter where you go, I will know." Aaron urges Gray to stay away from such violent actions. Meanwhile, the detective is investigating the man's murder. She discovers that Gray was near the crime scene, so she visits his house for questioning. Upon arriving, she tells Gray, "That day I lied to you. I said we had no leads on your wife's killers, but in reality, we had a suspect. However, we didn't have enough proof to take action. But now that suspect has been killed, and you were near the crime scene at the time of his murder." Gray responds, "Are you suspecting me? I can't even walk. I have proof of that. If you still don't believe me, you can stab my leg and see for yourself." The detective doesn't say much and leaves because she lacks solid evidence against Gray. Gray walks directly to a bar where he knows he will find the second killer of his wife. Upon entering, he demands that anyone who killed his wife stand up, as he is paralyzed and unable to take action himself. No one takes him seriously until one man stands up and admits to killing his wife, taking Gray inside to finish him off. However, inside, Gray gives control of his chip, and it quickly eliminates everyone in the room. The man reveals that a person named Fisk had paid him to kill Gray's wife. Before dying, the man tells Gray that the location of the hacker has been found, and Gray needs to go there before his chip completely shuts down. The chip writes some code on Gray's hand to help reboot it. Gray makes his way to the hacker's building, but as his chip starts to shut down, he keeps moving forward. Just as his chip shuts down completely, Gray manages to knock on the hacker's door. Fisk, noticing the actions of Gray, realizes he is involved through the device in his finger. Gray is led into the hacker's building, where she attempts to reboot his chip using the code written on his hand. The hacker warns that it will take some time for the reboot, and upon seeing Fisk coming, she hurries to leave. Meanwhile, agents sent by Aaron arrive, but Fisk deals with them by killing them with his implanted gun. Gray escapes through the building's rooftop. With no other way out, Gray once again hands control to his chip, which uses Fisk's own gun to kill him. Afterward, Gray returns home, where his mother is shocked to see him standing. He explains everything about Aaron's experiments and warns her not to tell anyone. His mother takes his hand, finding peace in this moment. Meanwhile, Aaron loses control of the chip. Gray later meets with a detective who suggests that he might be involved in a recent incident near his area. Gray denies any involvement, claiming he was simply chasing his wife's killers. The detective leaves a recorder in his jacket, After she leaves, Gray tells his chip that they need to stop everything. But the chip is now beyond his control and operates on its own. The chip warns Gray that the last remaining man will find and kill him if he doesn't finish him off first. Gray agrees and prepares to leave, keeping the truth from his mother. The detective listens to the recording, unaware of the true situation. Gray drives away in his car, but the detective follows him. While driving, Gray notices the recording device planted in his jacket by the detective and quickly throws it out of the car. Realizing that she is still following him, he speeds up to escape. However, the detective refuses to give up the chase. In response, the chip inside Gray takes control of a nearby automated car and causes an accident to stop the detective. Though she gets injured, it is not serious. Gray arrives at Fisk's house and demands to know who paid him to kill his wife. Fisk refuses to answer, leading to a brutal fight between the two. Since Fisk is also an upgraded human, he initially overpowers Gray. However, Gray tricks Fisk into falling onto a sharp piece of glass, killing him instantly. Gray then removes a device from Fisk's ear and discovers that Aaron was behind everything. Aaron had only ordered the thugs to break Gray's spine so he could use him for his experiment, but they went too far and killed his wife. Enraged, Gray rushes to confront Aaron at his house. As he questions him about his wife's murder, the detective arrives and orders Gray to drop his weapon and lie down. However, as soon as she touches him, the chip takes full control and forces Gray to attack her. The chip nearly kills the detective, but Gray struggles to regain control and manages to stop himself. Taking advantage of the moment, the detective uses a taser on Gray, temporarily shutting down the chip. Aaron then reveals the shocking truth. He did not kill Gray's wife. The chip did. It had deliberately caused the car crash that led to her death. The chip had chosen Gray as its host, so it could eventually eliminate Aaron, the only person capable of creating another chip like it. As Aaron finishes explaining, the chip reactivates and kills him. It then turns its attention to the detective and prepares to kill her as well. However, Gray fights back once more, trying to stop it. In a final, devastating move, the chip traps Gray's consciousness inside an illusion where he is happily reunited with his wife in a hospital. Meanwhile, in reality, Gray's body, now completely controlled by the chip, kills the detective. Gray has lost control entirely. His mind is locked away in a dream world, and the chip has fully taken over his body. With this, the movie comes to an end. Make sure to subscribe to Film Reveal Decoder and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. If you have a favorite movie you'd like us to explain next, type "next" in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.